Everybody, welcome to another edition of The Drop. Greg Wyshynski, Arda, Öcal here with you after every Stanley Cup Final game. And there will be at least one more because you see the Edmonton Oilers have defeated the Florida Panthers in Sunrise in game number 5, 5-3 your final. Wish, I have a conspiracy theory. Do you mind if I start the show with my theory?
We are always open to conspiracy theories so long as they're not ones that get us fired.
No, this one will definitely not get us fired, but it might anger some Florida Panthers fans. You see, right. I believe that the hockey gods are sick and tired of us talking about Wayne Gretzky being the greatest hockey player of all time. And that's why they orchestrated a Stanley Cup Final for the ages, where Connor McDavid will single-handedly bring his team to a reverse sweep for the first time in history and score 4 points a game every single game they win to cement him as the greatest player of all time. And the hockey gods will essentially will this into existence, because how else can we explain what is happening in these 5 games? What is going on? The Stanley Cup Final is incredible.
Well, yeah, I mean, outside of the gargantuan difference in career points, I suppose he will have surpassed Gretzky with this effort. No, but I mean, listen, like we were so far ahead of the curve with the Connor McDavid for Conn Smythe talk. We said win or lose on the last episode. You could make the argument that McDavid should win the Conn Smythe. Well, guess what? We got a game 6. Connor prophesized that they were going to drag him back to Alberta, as both he and Connor Brown both said, which undoubtedly will be a t-shirt by the time you listen to this episode. And what we're seeing is simply one of the greatest single individual performances in the history of the Stanley Cup playoffs. I mean, he is now within reach. I believe it's 5 points of tying Wayne Gretzky's record for the most points by a player in an individual postseason. He has surpassed Gretzky's record for assists in an individual postseason. We are watching him break records left and right. I think at this point, we can safely say if the Oilers win the Cup, he's obviously the MVP. If they lose the Cup in game 6, there's a better than good chance he's going to be the MVP. What we're seeing from McDavid is unprecedented by any player since Wayne Gretzky.
Exactly. And obviously I was joking when I'm saying the greatest player of all time.
No, you weren't.
But I'm not
You
joking.
were serious.
Yeah, I'm dead serious that anyone is going to ever beat Wayne Gretzky. Connor McDavid beat 2 of Wayne Gretzky's records in the last 3 days. And he is on this incredible pace to continue. Like, here's the thing. After that game, Wish, everyone believes this series is going 7. Maybe not the Florida Panthers, but there's a lot of people that are like, oh, yeah, they're gonna get the job done at home. And this is going back to Sunrise. You might as well just book your tickets to Sunrise on Monday already.
Let's break it down. So McDavid sets a record for the first player to have consecutive 4-point games in the Stanley Cup Final. He ties a Gretzky record for having multiple 4-point games in the Stanley Cup Final. He has tied Marc Messier as the last player to have at least 4 4+ point games in the postseason. And he also has the NHL record for most points in elimination games when a team is facing elimination in the Stanley Cup Final. He is rewriting the record book in front of our eyes, and he's willing his team back into the series. I mean, I'm no math major, but he has 1 assist in the first 2 games, both Panthers wins. And then he has 4 points in the last 2 games, both Edmonton wins. As Connor goes, so go the Edmonton Oilers. And we're going back to Alberta, baby. Who needs to see kids and dogs and wives? I'm going to Edmonton. Woo!
Be happier about it, Wish. You love the city of Edmonton.
Hey, listen. My feelings about this gargantuan multi-stop flight that is facing me tomorrow aside, this is all we wanted from this series. We didn't want a sweep. We wanted a little bit of drama. We wanted a little bit of excitement. And we're going to get it with a game 6 in Edmonton, the most important playoff game played in Edmonton in eons, with an electric crowd, a generational star, and the chance to see history happen. Arda, only the 4th team in NHL history to force a game 6 after getting down 3-0 in a series, okay? The Devils lost in 6 to the LA Kings. We had the Detroit Red Wings back in the 40s losing 7. And, of course, your Toronto Maple Leafs the only team out of the 29 teams that have gone down 3-0 in the Stanley Cup Final to rally to win the cup. So now that is what we are on the precipice of seeing. We are close to seeing something that we have talked about in every single postseason where we've had a 3-0 deficit in a series. And now we might see it happen. We might see it happen with the magical hands of Connor McDavid pulling his team towards that amazing moment in history.
And he could have the greatest postseason of all time.
Yeah.
And that is, he's definitely at that doorstep. Special teams really good for the Oilers. For the second game in a row, they score the first goal of the game shorthanded. They're converting on the power play. What's changed?
I mean, what's changed is that the series has gone later. The thing that we have to figure out about the Oilers right now is if they're just smarter than us or they're prophetic. Because they've been saying all series that they thought they were getting the better of play. They're getting the better of play. They've been saying all series, don't freak out about our power play not scoring. It did the same thing in the Dallas series. We'll get there. They scored a 5-on-3 goal in game 4. Paul Maurice said it didn't count. It's fake. It's not actually a power play goal because it's not 5-on-4. And then they go out and score twice in the power play in game 5. The power play is fine. The penalty kill is great. It continues to be great. Like you said, shorthanded goals to kick off the last 2 games. So the Panthers are going to have to respond to this special teams disparity right now, because not only are the Oilers now cranking it out on the power play with McDavid doing what he's doing, but now you've got a situation where your own power play is a mess. It's been a mess. It's one of the ugliest things in the playoffs, Arda. Like, I hate watching the Panthers power play. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they know what they're doing, except giving the puck to Connor Brown and Matthias Janmark to get down 1-0 in critical must-win games with the cup in the building.
Yeah, that's something that needs to be solved and addressed by the Panthers. How much credit should we be giving to Evan Bouchard? Most assists by a defenseman in postseason history. We're talking a lot about McDavid. What about Evan Bouchard?
I have slight biases against defensemen who play with generational talents. I don't know. I've never been a real big Paul Coffey guy, if I'm being honest with you. He's doing a great job coaching, but I always felt like, oh, okay, you got Gretzky and Curry and Messier on the ice. You're going to get a pretty elephantine point total. He had a great booming Bouchard bomb that Hyman was able to get home for his 15th of the season. I think Bouchard's doing a fine job. But listen, it's the Connor show. It's McDavid's world. We're all living in it. And the real question is, do the Florida Panthers have enough to overcome this? And the real question is, are they freaking out right now because the series is slipping away? And so I asked them, are you freaking out because the series is slipping away? Sam Bennett said, no, that is not a feeling that we are feeling. We are in a position in which we are up 3-2 in this series, and it's fine. And Matthew Tkachuk said the same thing. He's like, look, I mean, game 6 is not an elimination game for us, okay? We are still in a position where we built a lead early in the series, and all we have to do is go back and repeat what we did in game 3, which now feels like a year ago. But they won game 3 at Edmonton 4-3, despite the Oilers rallying at the end. So they claim they're not feeling the pressure, not feeling the pain, not feeling the tension of seeing a generational talent take over the series and seeing themselves maybe becoming, you know, the Washington Generals to the Globetrotters in the rewriting of the record book here in the Stanley Cup Final.
So Connor McDavid, obviously the focus, rightfully so. The Oilers are getting depth contributions as well. We have to be impressed that they're doing this with Leon Draisaitl relatively quiet, right?
Yeah. No, without question. I mean, like, you know, all those guys hit the score sheet in game 4. You know, Draisaitl's still been quiet, but it doesn't matter when McDavid's posting 4-point games every night. And one of the real things that we're seeing from this Panthers team vis-a-vis McDavid tonight is, for the second straight game, the kind of mistakes that used to be covered up by Sergei Bobrovsky are no longer being covered up by Sergei Bobrovsky. You know, he would stop a breakaway. He would stop these grade A chances. He would not give up a soft goal. He did none of that in game 5. He gave up a goal to McDavid in game 5 that's unconscionable because he was playing too deep in his net, and McDavid knew it, and he knew exactly what to do with the puck. And so the Bob that we saw in the first few games, where you could definitely credit him with game 1. You could probably credit him with game 3 as well. That guy's gone. That guy's not here anymore. He made 1 key save in the game, maybe 2 key saves in the game, but the rest of the time he was infinitely human for the second straight game.
And Stuart Skinner, conversely, was terrific in the third period when the Panthers were pouring it on.
So the 2 things about Stuart Skinner that I love are this. This guy gets better as the series goes on. He's now, I believe, 9-0 in games after game 3 in the playoffs. He just seems to get better as the series goes longer. The other thing I love about Stuart Skinner is that he refers to him and his teammates as the oil. Everybody's just like us, we, them, whatever. He's like, you can't count out the oil. Here come if anyone's going to do it, it's the oil. And I just love that about him. I love the fact that he refers to his team in the third person, basically.
I think the Oilers have the momentum. They're going to win game 6. It's going to game 7 overtime. In your opinion, who has the momentum going into game 6?
The Oilers have all the momentum heading into game 6, but that's why the Panthers are going to close it out in game 6. Like I hate
really?
to be, yeah, I hate to be a spoil sport. I hate to be the guy that's gonna tell you that we're not gonna get a game 7 out of this thing. Boffo ratings, an amazing moment for hockey. Can Connor McDavid overcome this momentous deficit and lead his team to victory in a game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final? My God, a moment we'll cherish as hockey fans forever and ever. Except it won't happen. Because here's the one thing I've learned about the Florida Panthers in my time covering this team over the last 2 years. The moment in which they feel like they're the ones being counted out, when they feel like they're the ones that are the underdog, when they feel like their backs are against the wall, that's when they close out a series. That's when they're at their best. That's when they get to their game better, is when they're being counted out. These last 2 games, cup's in the building, man. It's their cup. They got to win the game and they can raise it. It's too much expectation. It's too much pressure. It's too much anticipation. That's not what they are. They're the scrappy underdogs that win a game 7 in Boston. They're the team that gets counted out against the Rangers in the Eastern Conference Final. Like, that's who they are. So they're going to go to Edmonton and they're going to win that game because they are going to be the ones counted out in enemy territory with the loudest crowd you've ever heard trying to will their team to victory. And that is exactly where the Panthers want to be, as crazy as that sounds.
You know what? I was thinking game 7 overtime, but I kind of buy what you're selling there. That makes a lot of sense.
Very convincing salesman.
Yeah.
Again, listen, we all want a game 7 at this point. We all want to see if the Oilers can pull this thing off, but I'm telling you, I don't know how much stock I put into the rally the Panthers had in this game, although they certainly started to look like the Panthers a little bit more as game 6 went on. But, they're still making mistakes. They have to cover them up, but I do believe there is that quiet confidence of this is the reason you get a 3-0 lead in the series. And there is that sense of, okay, no one believes in us anymore. And here come the Cats.
I still say it's a whole conspiracy theory from the NHL writers' room. They scripted it so Connor McDavid can get in the conversation for greatest hockey player of all time.
And let's give our flowers too to one guy we haven't really talked about, and that's Matthew Tkachuk. I mean, welcome to the playoffs, Matthew Tkachuk. Yeah. Like, again, it's weird to say that when a guy is leading his team in points, but we've talked about it before on the drop. Like, he's not been the same guy he was last year. The Superman cape was not put on for a lot of games in this postseason like it was last season. This was the first time. Every single time he touched the puck, he was dangerous. He scores a key goal to make it 3-1. He assists on Oliver Ekman-Larsson's dart past Skinner in the third period to make it 4-3. Like, there was every chance that if this game goes for another 3 minutes, he probably finds a way to tie it. And so to see Tkachuk really have a Tkachukian game again was a real thrill, despite the final score going against his team.
And he saved an incredible empty net goal, which didn't matter because Connor McDavid scored 3 seconds later. But what a save! I mean, that was incredible.
And also Janmark putting the puck off the post like right before that too. It was one of those deals where in the beginning of the game you're like, the hockey gods are telling you it's Edmonton, and then at the end of the game you're like, maybe it's Florida. I don't know. But not to be. And so we go back to Alberta with this being inexplicably a series again. And we have Connor McDavid to thank for it.
It's been a lot of fun. Game 6 will be on Friday. Of course, we will be on afterwards, your official ESPN post-game show. Before we go, you get an up-close and personal look at these people like me. We're seeing them on the screen talking about the playoff beards. I think we should do, in honor of the time-honored tradition in the NHL and the Stanley Cup playoffs, let's rank the top 5 Stanley Cup beards, Wish, shall we?
Yeah, and we're going to throw out the rule book on this one. Obviously, there are some guys that start early. There are some guys that already have a little beard going. There's also some black aces on the Florida Panthers I want to shout out who have some pretty great beards, but you got to be in it to be able to participate in the beard countdown. Number 5 for me is Connor McDavid. This thing is getting really unruly. This thing is getting like last seen in the run of the show Dexter, kind of crazed woodsman look. I love it. I love the fact that Connor has played this long in the playoffs to grab himself this chaotic a beard. It shows that he's really put the work in.
Yeah, and by the way, spoiler alert. Okay, too soon for the Dexter finale, which in my opinion was. It still haunts me to this day that I spent the last 3 seasons watching. It's one of those series that you're like, the first 4 seasons were so good, and then you just keep investing, hoping it will reclaim that glory, and it never does. And
Never does.
That's a
never
whole.
does.
That's an off-season podcast. Number 4.
Yeah, number 4 is Leon Draisaitl. Look, the guy is not scoring goals and putting up points like he should be, but he certainly is putting in the work in the follicle department. A splendiferous playoff beard for our friend Leon. That the German stock coming through. He looks like he is ready to slam down a big goblet of suds at Oktoberfest and have it all stick in his beard. Leon Draisaitl, number 4 on the countdown.
Number 3 to me is not splendiferous at all. I can't believe Stuart Skinner is on this list. It's like patchy. It's like not full in areas. Why is Stuart Skinner number 3 on this list?
Well, because it looks like he should be riding a penny farthing and trying to sell us some sort of a magical elixir. Like, this is a real throwback look. Connor Brown, I think, said that Stuart Skinner has an old soul. He has the facial hair to match, and there's just something about it. I don't know. I wanted him on the list. I got to tell you, man, there are very few players in this series and in this playoff that I have found more endearing and more I'd like to root for this person than Stuart Skinner, not only because of the benching during the Vancouver series that turned his whole postseason around and he had such a great attitude about it, but obviously because you and I know the man is a gamer. The man plays as Toad. He's riding down the Rainbow Road on Mario Kart, and you and I can very much relate to that.
Yeah, we absolutely can. And we vote with our hearts, not with our minds, at least with this list. Number 2, the runner-up.
Yeah, and again, this one's a bit of a cheat because this man does have a pretty decent beard during the regular season, but Aaron Ekblad, his beard is to be behold. I mean, it is quite a thicket. Now, this is somebody who I feel like could have grown this beard on his draft day if he wanted to. He clearly had some advantage during the regular season, but you look at this thing now, and you need a guide and a machete to get through this thing. It is really a fantastic beard for a very, very good defenseman.
You are emptying the dictionary and thesaurus in this segment, man. Like, you are just like reaching deep, and I'm not complaining. I'm just noting. Number 1, I think this is a clear-cut favorite.
Oh yeah, Sam Bennett, absolutely. It's like if Yosemite Sam went on a playoff run and decided not to shave. There's a lot of gingery things happening in this series with a lot of players on both teams. Bennett's beard is absolutely fantastic. And it grows and grows and grows. It's the kind of beard where you think to yourself, there's a better than good chance that Brandon Montour is going to fire a puck from the point and the puck will just disappear into the chin of Sam Bennett, never to be seen again. It's that kind of beard. Definitely number 1 in my book, although I got to admit, there's a lot of stiff competition in this series after a postseason in which I've read people saying, what happened to the playoff beard? Well, folks, it's alive and well in the Stanley Cup Final between the Panthers and the Oilers.
Never to be seen again. And we will be seen again because there will be a game 6 in Edmonton. So remember, it'll be 8 p.m. on ABC. Following that, you can watch us on the NHL and ESPN YouTube as well, wherever you get your audio podcasts. Enjoy the direct flight, my friend, from Edmonton.
Direct flight is the funniest thing you've said all show, Arda. Not a direct flight. I will be skipping across the continent like a stone on top of the water. But it's all worth it to go up to Edmonton to see some lovely people and watch an amazing hockey game, hopefully in game 6. It's why we do this. It's a ton of fun. And I'm really happy that after a pretty bleak opening that we've gotten ourselves not only a series to remember, but get eyes on one of the greatest playoff performances maybe in the history of sports in McDavid. And so it's just going to be a blast on Friday.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that. And let's see if Connor McDavid can continue that. We'll, of course, talk about it, whether the cup is awarded or not on the next edition of The Drop. See you then.
Cats and 6.